So, today we're going to talk about planning, why planning is not optional, and why planning is not just a strategy, but it's an act of stewardship. So, let's get right into it. So, the kingdom does not advance through accident. So, it's not an impulse, it's not talent alone. So, the kingdom advances through divinely guided planning, the same way God Himself works. So, Acts 15:18 tells us, known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. So God never improvises. God never has to guess and he never has to experiment. So his works are known from the beginning, fully planned, fully architected, and fully intentional. So God isn't making any mistakes here. So entrepreneurs who plan like God see results like God. So we're going to talk about planning with order, productivity, multiplication, and longevity. So God is the original planner, and we are made in his image. From the beginning, God demonstrated the power of preparation before manifestation. Genesis 1 and 1 tells us, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. But before creation, the Spirit hovered in verse 2. This is not inactivity. This is divine assessment, intention, and preparation. So God, he examines before he executes, and he orders things before he reveals things, and he plans before he produces. So entrepreneurs and anybody, everyone is an entrepreneur. If you work for someone else, if you work for yourself, you are an entrepreneur of your life. So these are the things that you must do. So, what is the biblical mandate for planning? What does that look like? So, I actually run one of my companies by this verse, Proverbs 16:3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So, let's talk about that. I love the word shall. That means it's going to happen. But establish, what does that mean? So, what are you, if you commit your works unto the Lord, your thoughts shall be established. What is this establishment? So, in Hebrew, establish, it sounds like kun, and its meaning is firm. So, established means firm, it means supported, it means secured, it means aligned, and it means made to prosper. So, when you give God the work, He gives you the plan. So planning becomes prophetic when it is dedicated to God. Another great scripture, Proverbs 21 and 5 says, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty, only to want. So the thoughts of the diligent. So what are these thoughts? So thoughts are plans, blueprints, careful considerations. You know, rush entrepreneurs create scarcity and planned entrepreneurs create abundance. So, the thoughts of the diligent tend to plenteousness. So, we want the plenteousness. We want to have we know what the thoughts are. We know what plenteousness is, but what is diligent? Because these are the ones that only lead to plenteousness. So, diligent means steady, careful, constant, uh, industrious in effort, showing earnestness, wholehearted application of your spiritual duties, avoiding laziness, and actively pursuing God's will and command. So that's how you want to approach your planning. So Luke 14, 28 through 30 says, because this is Jesus' direct instruction, on entrepreneurship. So it says, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sit it not down first, to count at the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it, lest haply, after he had laid the foundation, and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. So Jesus teaches us, sit down, pause, think, evaluate what you're about to do. Count the costs. What are the financial costs, the manpower costs, the timing costs? And this is, like I said, whether you're an entrepreneur of your life or whether you're an entrepreneur of your life and a business. Assess sufficiency. What resources do you need? What is your strategy? What is the scalability of this venture? And then build to finish, not merely to begin. So starting, there's a lot of excitement that goes into that, but finishing, that takes a divine wisdom. So let's talk about some uh, success planning tools that have been used for thousands of years, to plan. So Habakkuk 2 and 2 tells us, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So write the vision, make it plain, so that whoever readeth it, runneth to the task. So, leaders for thousands of years wrote plans on tablets so that the plans wouldn't be confusing. You write it down so that it's not that it can be transferable to someone else, so that someone else can take up the work. You write it down so that it can be actionable. Sometimes it's not always easy to read what somebody wants in their brain and then do that. If it's written down, it makes it more actionable. It makes it durable. You know, it makes it last. We all have an expiration date, but when you write something down, it has a tendency to outlast you. And then it's repeatable. So it's something that can be done over and over again. So an unwritten vision is an unfulfilled vision. So at Cason and Company, our entrepreneurs, they must write everything clearly. They must simplify deeply and execute it with consistency. So now let's talk about the next step. I'll call this the counsel method. So Proverbs 15:22 talks about this. So it says, without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. So thinking about not planning alone when you're planning. You know, there are books and full of strategists and elders and financial overseers and prophetic voices. There were all of those things back then. And now today we have those same things, but they just have different names. We call them today like mentors, advisors, accountants, legal counsel, financial intelligence, um, experienced entrepreneurs. So it's no different. Those are the people that you need to seek after when you're doing your plan, because isolation, it can kill planning, but counsel, it strengthens it. Good counsel. So making sure you're seeking wise counsel. So also understanding that there's a season to everything. So Ecclesiastes 3 and 1 tells us, for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. So understanding that, making sure that you're asking God, what season am I in right now, and what are you growing in me? What are you preparing me for, so that you're not rushing out of seasons, you're not rushing through seasons, but you understand that you are in a season, and because of divine timing, you understand that God's timing and not your timing is in control here. So successful planning understands when to plant, when to prune, when to wait, when to build, when to expand, and when to harvest. So many entrepreneurs don't fail from bad strategy, they fail from wrong timing. So, how does God expect entrepreneurs to plan? So, you plan with revelation first. Number one, you hear from God. So, prayer must precede planning. And then revelation is informed direction, and stillness, it opens up the strategy so that you're able to see what the strategy is. So begin with prayer, begin with hearing from God, a revelation from God. And then, as Jesus said, count the cost, don't guess it. So smart stewardship is uh not measuring, not weighing, not calculating, not forecasting. Be wise and count the cost as you're so that you can be a wise steward. So plan with structures. Make sure that you're planning to have systems that this can create order within your business and not chaos. 1 Corinthians 14:40 tells us, let all things be done decently and in order. So God is a God of systems. You know, if look at days, seasons, cycles, laws, patterns. These are all systems that God uses to bring his final plan to fruition. And your business must have systems, processes, documented procedures, and predictable operations, so that there's an order about your business. Also, when you're making your plan, plan it with humility and remain teachable. Proverbs 1:5 tells us, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning. So the moment an entrepreneur stops learning, their business, it stops growing. So plan with flexibility. Yield to God's adjustments. Proverbs 16:9 tells us, a man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directed his steps. So the plan is a map, but God is the GPS. So when he directs, pivot quickly. So number one, when you're writing down your vision, make sure that you have a revelation from God. Make sure that you've prayed, that you've meditated, that you have the discernment that you need to understand what God is saying to you. Then write it down. Now write your vision plainly so that it can be actionable. Write it so that somebody else can take action on it. And then seek counsel, wise counsel. Invite wisdom to, refine the plan and help you with the plan. Um, Create systems. You create structure because this is what's going to support your dream. I like to call it a money generating machine. And that's what you're building here. You're building a machine that can constantly generate money for you. Uh, Stewardship, counting the costs and being prepared, with the resources that you need. Execution. This is faith in motion. You know, Adaption. Move with God. Consistency. This is fruitfulness. So you build until completion. So this will build strength, it will build clarity, and it will build divine alignment. So I hope this video helps. We'll have more soon. Definitely time. It's always time to if the make a plan and make it plain. Write the plan and make it plain so that God can move on your behalf. I hope this helps. God bless. See you in the next video.